Podcast, and today it is our first ever interview on the podcast. We are honored to be joined by the one and only Bob Huggins, head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineers. Coach, how you doing, man? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing great. I was just talking today about we had some problems here with the computer. You couldn't hear me. It's kind of what Day did in the huddle. He'd come over in the huddle and he'd start talking before I could talk. And he'd keep talking until he thought I forgot what I was going to say.
It's called leadership. You know
what it is, Day? It's just it's a great thing. A lot of people change. You know, they get become a star like you, and they change. You haven't changed a bit, not a bit.
Is that a good thing, or?
Well, depending on if I had something to say or not. Well, it was a good thing.
I guess it makes sense he went into the coaching path then, huh?
Yeah.
I pray no one is like me then. I hope I get the words in.
Here's what you need to do though. He had a really, really bad sprained ankle. And Billy Hahn and I had just come down the steps and ran into Jay Wright. We're going to play Villanova. And Jay starts talking about Deshaun. I said, Jay's not going to play, man. I mean, he tried to practice yesterday. He couldn't go. He's not going to be able to play. And Jay said, no, he's going to play. I said, Jay, I'm telling you, he's not going to play. He doesn't go to warm up, and then he comes out. He says, I can go. All right, let's go. He goes out and was really on the verge of breaking the Coliseum scoring record. And I said to Mess, I'm like, how many more does he need? I got to get him out. And our sports information director, who was here trying to get this up and running as well. And he said, I'll tell you when. So he's sitting right there beside me on the bench, and he says, get him. He said, he already broke the record. We don't want him to get hurt anymore. Now he's already played for 35 minutes and got 40 some. So I'm like, get him out. Get him out, go over. After the game, Mess said, what'd you take him out for? I said, you told me to. He said, well, he didn't break the record. I said, then why did you tell me he did? So here's what I want you to do every time you see Mess. Give him hell, Day.
Always. He blames you. He blames you. I wanted a straight answer, and it's awesome that Mess is going to hide behind a computer right now and not even take any ownership for what he did, but he always blames you. So that's good to know.
He ran out. He ran out. You knew it was coming up.
No, facts. Like Rob said, Coach, we normally don't even do interviews. We just literally talk ball here. But I mean, if I had to do an interview, I would want it to be with you. And these guys, of course, wanted it to be with you. You have a lot of big things going on this year. And obviously NCAA tournaments coming up. So who else should we talk to but the man, the myth, and the legend?
Well, I want to know, Coach. I want to know that now that Deshaun's kind of getting into the coaching ranks, what advice have you given him? Has he talked to you about what he can do to kind of be better as a coach? What pointers would you give him in terms of getting into college coaching? What kind of advice are you giving him?
Well, this isn't his first time. You're acting like this is the first time he's give this a go. It's not. Let me tell you what. Now he was doing it was I thought was doing a really good job. He was our grad assistant, and then he decided he wanted to go play some more, which I understood. You know, I wish I had that opportunity to play a little more than what I could play. I couldn't play at all after I got done playing and went right into coaching. But it'd been fun to go over there and travel, and I think that you enjoyed it for a while, and then
had a blast.
You know, then it gets old. You know, miss your family, miss your kids, miss. A lot of things that are very near and dear to you. And so he came in here and we talked a little bit, you know, and I said, man, you ought to go up there with Chris Richardson and just kind of get your feet wet, because this guy's an icon in this state. And if he wants to be a coach, he'll be a coach at one of the colleges in this state in a very short time.
So you didn't recruit him to West Virginia. He was there when you got there. So I want to hear both sides of the story. I want to hear, Coach.
I went into high school, though. You remember when I came into high school?
Yeah, you were recruiting my guy, Kasim Drummond. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We came in. Day was in there. no, Deshaun's high school coach was telling me about Day, and I kept looking at him, and I'm like, he ain't got the greatest body going, you know.
Did I have it when you got
But
there?
that's what he did.
So I want to know the first reaction day when you found out that Coach Huggins was getting the West Virginia job, and Coach, I want to know first time you walked into that West Virginia gym. I mean, you got a team full of John Beeline's guys. Your style, Coach Beeline's style, is not exactly the same. I want to know what your reaction was when you first realized, okay, this is the team that I have to coach.
Well, I mean, I was kind of used to it, to be honest with you. You know, I was a GA here for a year with Jody Gardner, who was my college coach, and then I went to Ohio State for 2. Was an assistant under Eldon Miller for 2, and I wanted to coach my own team, so I took the Walsh College job, and they had never won, and so I went in there and started, you know, talking to them and tell them what I expected, and I had about, I think, 4 left when I got done with my speech, and you know, we went on and had great success there, and then I decided I wanted to get back in Division I, so I took a job at Central Florida as an assistant, and I was there for a year. And you know, I knew it's time for me to get out of Florida when I'm all excited about watching a game that, you know, everybody's talking about it's going to be on TV, and I turn it on, they don't have the game on. They got like a World War II movie, you know. Like, I got to get out of this place. So I get the opportunity to come back to Akron, and I grew up right in that area, so I knew everybody. And same thing though, taking over somebody else's team, you know. And actually, John Lawyer, who's with the Clippers now, doing a great job with the Clippers, was the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. He was one of the guys that he was a sophomore, I think, when I came in. So he played 3 years for me, and then went to Cincinnati with me and did a great job at Cincinnati. But I mean, my dad was a coach, you know, and I never really wanted to be like my dad, you know. I just kind of got in coaching because it seemed easier than doing other things, you know. Y'all ever have a shovel in your hand? I mean, I've had shovels and picks and you know, all that stuff in my hand. It's not any fun, man. Pounding nails isn't any fun.
I just shoveled 6 inches of snow, so trust me, I know all about having a shovel in your hand right now.
I hear you. But, you know, I did it like, you know, 365 days a year, you know. So my dad had a camp and all that stuff. And Day knows I don't camp, man. I walk through, shake people's hands, pass out a couple hugs, and leave, man. I had enough camp. I had enough camp when I was growing up. So anyway, yeah. But I mean, this guy here knows basketball, and he's got a great feel. He's really got a great feel, and that's important. You know, I mean, I was around it so much that I couldn't help but learn something. And he picks things up so fast, you know, and I will forever be indebted to those guys, because I mean, they wanted me to coach them, you know, and I don't know if they did right at first, but I think after we got going a little bit, they really enjoyed, I think, being coached and getting better, and we honestly thought we had a shot. I mean, I tell Joe, you know, all the time. Joe's always big now, telling me wish he would listen better, like everybody is when it's over with, like I was when it was over with.
Exactly.
But you know, what if he comes back? We got beaten in the Sweet 16 and got beaten double overtime, I think it was.
Yeah, Xavier.
And we're thinking we can get to the Final Four the first year I was there, and we just missed it by a little bit. And Joe had another year, and if Joe had come back, Joe and Day together as forwards, and then the other guys we had, and then of course his senior year we went. That was the year that he announced to the world, "I own college basketball."
let's not get into the particulars and the verbals and anything like that.
Well, I couldn't figure out what the hell I said. You know, I asked you one day. I said, "What did you say?"
Dig it out of me. I was excited. That was a lot of fun. Like those games.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
That's the way you were making shots.
Exactly, right? No, but to your question, Rob, when he first we had like a 2-week, maybe was it a 2 weeks after Coach Beeline left, Coach Huggins, between you guys?
Well, I think I think the other guy was there for about 4 or 5 days. Wasn't he?
I don't know. It was at that time. I thought that was between Beeline and someone else. I didn't know it was between our time.
No, I'm talking about Dockage.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know that was our time. I thought that was earlier because we had never met him.
Oh, it was. No,
that was before. I was going to say we had never met him. Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
It was before John got there. We had like a 2-week hiatus with no coach, and all of a sudden, the news breaks, and they're like, "Yeah, Bob Huggins is getting here," and we all looked to Jerry West's son, Johnny West, who was on the team, because he knows everything about basketball, and we're like, like, what do we need to know about this coach? And he goes, "It's gonna be hard." So we're like, all right. We all came in to shoot threes and play zone. So, I actually went back home to New Jersey, and I went to Seton Hall because I always go to Seton Hall to get runs when I went back to New Jersey. And I ran into a guy that played for Coach Huggins, Jahad Muhammad, at Cincinnati. And it was like literally like a whim type deal. I just ran into him because he had never been to the runs before. And I run into him. I'm like, "Hey, like they said you used to play at Cincinnati and used to, play for Coach Huggins. Like, what can you tell me about him?" He's like, "It's going to be difficult, but it's a good difficult. And at the end of the day, you'll get a big ass hug after practice. And it's nothing personal. It's literally basketball. And you'll become a better person for it." And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like friggin' 19 at the time. I was like, "All right, cool. I'll stick the shit out. Like, it's whatever." And then he gets there and I get the chance to meet him. And he doesn't, unlike most coaches I've had, like I told you before, he didn't talk at me. Like the first thing he did when he came in, he asked me some questions. And it was more or less just like, "What do you want to do when you're done playing in college?" And I told him, I was like, I want to play professional basketball. I want to be a pro. And he's like, "You stick around here and you work your ass off, you'll get that." And he kept his promise. So like, he's always been, honest to me, always told me everything I needed to hear the way I needed to hear it. So like, and obviously he prepared me for life. I mean, it's easy going to college and everything is basically taken care of for you, but he did a great job of preparing everybody in that locker room for what was going to be waiting for them out there, because it's no easy picnic for any of the guys younger listening. So
we'll be right back into that interview with Bob Huggins. But first, I need to tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time. Bet Rivers Sportsbook is offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. When you win at Bet Rivers Sportsbook, they pay fast. And now it's even faster with Rush Pay instant approval for withdrawals. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. Trust me, I know because I use them. So with March Madness right around the corner, there's never been a better time to give Bet Rivers Sportsbook a try. Go to betrivers.com today or download the Bet Rivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, Coach, I actually want to expand on that point a little bit. Dave said you coach hard. I think everybody knows that you're as tough as anybody when it comes to the actual coaching on the court. But you always have the balance where your guys and you have a great relationship. Like, I've never heard someone say something bad about you after the fact. And we've seen it a little bit with Greg Marshall and Billy Gillespie, how some of that style of coaching maybe isn't as prolific as it's been in the past. So I'm like, how do you manage that balance? How do you do it where your guys know that you have their support? Like, you can coach them hard and you can push them to the brink, but you still have that relationship. Like, how do you manage that? It can't be easy.
I think my dad, I played for my dad. My dad coached really hard. But there wasn't the afterward, the relationship. You know what I mean? I mean, it was my father, so I had that relationship, but there wasn't a give and take situation. Excuse me. I don't, I mean, I think a lot of it was I was a player. I didn't like the way I was coached a lot. To be honest with you, I don't think most guys do. But I just have always had a good relationship with people. I think that's important. I mean, why would you not? I don't know what anybody would get out of being an asshole. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I try to explain to them, it's this way on the floor, but it's totally different off the floor. This is business. We got to take care of business. We're going to take care of business on the floor. And some days you're going to like it, some days you're not going to like it. Grow up. Now off the floor, that's another deal. And I'll tell you, I was blessed, man. I came in and got a great bunch of guys. Great bunch. I laugh all the time. I see Missoula over there coaching on the Celtics bench. And I always laugh to myself, we scrimmaged Virginia. He must have turned it over 6 or 7 times. And I didn't say a word to him. Then he came over and he said, take me out. Take me out. I suck. I said, I know. I just want you to get it all out now. Get it all out now, and then maybe we can fix it. He said, you ain't going to take me out? I said, no, I'm not going to take you out. Keep throwing the shit out of bounds. At which, Joe and I laugh about that now, but I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, as the saying goes. I like people. I do. I like people. I love basketball. So it's easy. That part of it's really easy.
Yeah, and I would just say more or less when we were doing our stuff on the court, it was never like how can I put it? Things could get personal, but it never crossed the line to the point where you felt like, all right, I need to tell somebody what was going on. Like it wasn't that kind of vibe. Like you brought up some of the other coaches. Like it never got to that. Now things can get personal when you don't do your job because it's you're the person that's not doing it. But it's never to the point where guys are hiding in basements for years and stuff like that. It's not. No, we never got to that. Like that's not the deal. That's not how we did things there. So.
I think it's kind of exemplified too by the moment at the Final Four, and I did want to talk about that a little bit. Just, I mean, to me, that's one of the most memorable moments from kind of recent college. But I've been doing this since like 2008, and that's always stood out to me because, on a stage like that, a coach being like showing that emotion and having that connection with the player, I don't think you see it that often. So can you just kind of, Dave, like what? Can you take me through what you remember about that moment and kind of what it meant to you that coach was there for you?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd never hurt myself before, so I was asking if they can like fix this so I can get back out there. And they're like, "Yeah, you're not getting up. You're not getting up." So I was in pain, obviously. And once again, man, I was more focused on like winning the game. I didn't really know what was going on, but I was so worried about us winning. I wanted to win for the team, for the state. And, coach came over and basically just like reassured me that I'd be fine. And I did everything I possibly could and just to relax and, stuff you need to hear when you're hurt, man. I was like, I had no idea at the time what was getting ready to happen to me. Like just looking back at it now, there was a process I wasn't even mentally prepared to take. And the first thing he did was just make sure I was good. Like that was his job. And I've seen numerous coaches over time kind of just stand and watch. I've seen coaches keep huddles while their players on the ground with the trainer. Like that was basically, to me, seeing that was more or less like if I saw my son in that scenario, it would reassure me that my son was going to the right person in a sense.
Right. Did you know how bad it was, Coach, when it happened?
I had a pretty good idea. Yeah. The thing for me was it was like eerie, because we were number one in the country, and we were the best team in the country when I had Kenyon Martin. And we had Kenyon Martin, the number one pick in the draft, Pete Michael, the number 3 or 4 pick in the draft. Not Pete, DeMar Johnson. Pete was an early second round pick. Jermaine played in the league for a while. I mean, we had Satterfield and Steve Logan, and I mean, if you remember those names, Logan was the best player in the country his senior year, and Sat was really a terrific point guard, particularly in transition. We were loaded, and Kenyon broke his leg against St. Louis in the first game of the conference tournament, and it was the same. I got a picture that I pretty much look at every day. That's the other guys in a huddle after day went down, and they all got tears coming down their eyes. Not because there goes our best player and we can't win, because they cared so much for this guy, and it's hard not to be honest with you. But just to me, it was so eerie. And the thing that stood out to me was when I went out with Kenyon, and he didn't say what's going to happen to me. He didn't say there goes my career. He didn't say anything like that. His thing was, Coach, I wanted to win this so bad for you. I wanted to win this for you. And I'm like, hey man, it ain't about me. It's never been about me. It's always been about us. And then I go out today, and they didn't say exactly those words, but it was kind of what he said. It was like, Coach, I want to go. I want to go. And I'm like, listen, man, you got a lot of basketball ahead of you. You got to do what people are telling you to do, man. He said, yeah, but I need to go, and started talking about his teammates, and and the whole thing. And it was eerie, but it was two guys that I knew how much they cared, separate guys, different, but they cared. They cared about their teammates. They cared about their school. Cared about the people who had supported them, and it's they're the same today, and to me that was what I got out of it. And then it's you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about people, and this I think he will always be remembered as, the Deshaun Butler, man, and the guy. And everybody will continue to say, damn, if they hadn't got hurt. So,
right. Could you have won the title that year if he didn't get hurt?
Sure we could have. I mean, those guys are, they tell me all the time, Coach, we're just getting ready to make a comeback. We do, because we had done it all year, really.
Yeah.
We were not a great first half team.
Yeah, well, facts.
But we were a hell of a second half team. And that's what all those guys talked about. We were just getting ready to make a run here.
Is that true, Day?
Honestly, we probably had 2 blowouts all season, and the rest of the season were all close games. We were built for close games. And if we were down in the first half, that wasn't a worry. I feel like that was something that Coach Huggins brought with him his first season in. I don't remember who we were playing, but when we were, this is not to bash Coach Beeline or anything like that, but more or less when we played our games our freshman year, if we got down pretty big, we kind of stay out of the games. We're mainly shooting threes. Teams kind of out-rebounded us a lot. We were young. Then next year, I believe we had a couple games we got down big, but we also came back from being down really big and won a bunch of those games. So us seeing that happen, that was just the norm for us to know we can come back in games throughout the rest of our college career. So we have tons of games where we will be down big and come back and win those games. So, and we had them that season. So it wasn't anything like foreign to us. Like they make runs, like we have to make a run. We're going to make our own run, but ran into some bad luck. So it is what it is. They shot the ball great. They won. And I'd rather not lose to Duke, but I'd rather we lost to the team that won the championship, though. So that's just me in general. We didn't. They didn't lose the next one. So
it was the first year when we beat Duke in Washington
DC. Yeah, we beat them. So they had a nice little grudge too because we beat them pretty good. So it's always think about those games, man, because I thought we could have definitely won those games. That game, excuse me.
Right.
I think we were down 21-2 or something like that against Xavier in the Sweet 16. I think that's about it, something like that.
And they had 6-7 seniors on that team. Like they had a great team that year.
And it was like 21-2, and then all of a sudden here we come.
Before we get back into that interview with Bob Huggins, I have to let you guys know that support for today's episode of Dauster and Deshaun is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you with the best tool for your grooming experience. With more than 2 million users worldwide, Manscaped has partnered with me and Deshaun to provide an exclusive offer to you. 20% off and free shipping with the code FIELD at manscaped.com. So let me tell you a little bit about their Perfect Package 3.0 kit. It starts with the Lawnmower 3.0, their third generation trimmer that features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. You don't want to worry about nicking the goods while you're trying to clean up down there. Feel confident when you're shaving your balls with the Lawnmower 3.0. In addition to the new blade, the Lawnmower 3.0 comes with an LED light for a more precise trim. And it's waterproof, so you can take the grooming to the shower. Truth be told, you don't want to be using the same trimmer on your balls as on your face. The Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and ball moisturizer, as well as the Crop Reviver, which keeps the goods from sticking to your leg. Plus, Manscaped threw in a couple of free gifts for you, a pair of boxer briefs and a travel bag, so you can trim on the go. So get 20% off and free shipping right now with the code FIELD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com with code FIELD. Your balls will thank you. So, Day, you mentioned how he kind of instilled a little bit of toughness with you guys. And Coach, one thing that Day and I talk about kind of with no end on this podcast is how you've been able to kind of morph teams over your career from, you know, you got a John Beeline team coming in and you changed your style to be able to fit the players that you had. And then obviously press Virginia, everyone knows how you kind of threw that press on because you got Javon and you got Dexter Miles and you can play a certain kind of way. And now this year, everyone expected, and I'll be honest, Day, you can confirm this. I said that I didn't enjoy watching. I didn't expect to enjoy watching you guys play because I thought it was going to be like defense and rebounds and second chance points. And it turns out you're my favorite team to watch in the country because you space the floor, you check up threes, and it's been quite entertaining. And I'm just kind of curious, like how there are a lot of coaches that have a style, right? They coach a certain kind of way and they run a certain kind of system. So how have you been able to adapt the way that you play? Is it difficult? Like how does that happen?
No, I don't think it's difficult at all. I mean, we like when I came in with Day and those guys, they were really good at playing a 1-3-1. I just tried to stay out of the way. You know, I'd like, okay, what's wrong? What do we do? And when you really stop and think about it, guys stepped up. You know, they really stepped up. Cam Thurman wasn't playing at all, and then we're playing horrible against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And we can't score, and they're just tearing us apart. And we put Cam in, and Cam goes after people, and all of a sudden, man, we're winning the game handily because those guys had big hearts. They had big hearts. They wanted to win. want to win for each other. I think of all the teams that I've had, that one, if not is at the top, it's certainly near the top of cohesiveness and really sincerely caring about each other. And I think Wellington Smith came in here thinking he was going to be a guard. He ended up being a center, and he didn't like it very much at first. But you know what? We wouldn't have done what we did without him. I mean, he got better and better and better. Changed his shot. I tried to get him to fix his shot, or as I used to tell Day, that broke ass jump shot.
Yeah. Once again, broken up to go in. Nah, but to your point, yeah, I mean, those little adjustments made our team that much more versatile defensively. That's what I feel like we're a pretty good half-court defensive team. So having, Wellington, who was like a 3 coming into college, and then changing everything, like getting stronger, being able to physically guard the bigger guys we had to guard. Mm-hmm. It made our team very versatile. And to Coach Huggins' credit, like he was saying, he came in. Most coaches that I've had, always, regardless if it was like a new coach coming into a system, I've had as a professional, I've had coaches changes. Like most coaches, they are like, we're doing my stuff. Here we go, boom, and you got to figure this out. And whoever figures it out will play. Coach came in and he didn't talk at us. He just talked to us and asked questions, and took what we did really well and then used those things and then integrated his things with those things as well. So it was like the best of both worlds, where you have these guys who weren't great defenders the year before, who can pass the ball, shoot the ball pretty well, still, learning the game, but we knew a good bit about like spacing and things like that. And then getting us a little bit tougher and just changing every aspect of what we think we know about the game, as far as physicality, as far as defense, as far as offense and X's and O's and what to look for and what to make the defender do. Like, these are things we learned those next 3 years, especially me. So,
all right, we're bumping up against time here a little bit, Coach, but I do have some quick hitters that I want to send your way. First and foremost, I want the story of the most angry you've ever been at Deshaun. With a time you kicked him out of practice, something. I need a story about the angriest you've ever been at Deshaun.
I don't remember. I remember Deshaun being angry at me more than me being angry. He couldn't understand why I made him run wide figure eights because one of his teammates didn't go to class. He's like looking at me like, I was there. Why am I running?
I was finally there. Shut
up and go help your teammate,
All right. So who was the toughest player that you've ever coached?
Oh, wow. Well, I had Curtis Bosick, who was the state champion kickboxer in the state of Massachusetts. I don't think anybody screwed with Kurt. They knows Kurt. There's not many people. Kenyon was awfully tough. But I had Lavertus Robinson. Lavertus Robinson was a guardian angel in Chicago and was a state champion kickboxer in Illinois. So, I mean, I've had some dudes now.
Yeah, that's tough. So who was the softest player you've ever coached, and why was it Deshaun?
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. I was tough as nails.
Generally what happens is if they're not very tough, they generally come in and say, Coach, I don't think this is for me. We had some of those. We had some of those.
Yeah.
I said, Coach, man, I didn't know that it was going to be like this. There's a multitude of those guys. Or the guy that I got that had the best campus visit ever. I mean, this dude said everything that everybody wanted to hear. He was phenomenal. I got like the AD, a vice president. The president calls me, man, I don't know where you got this guy, but this guy is terrific. I mean, what a great guy. And then he stole the rugs out of the damn basketball office.
The rugs? What's he doing with rugs?
I was really proud of them. We got these rugs with the St. Paul on it, said Cincinnati on it, and they were throw rugs, like kind of like those ones that were in a locker room at the Big 12 tournament day.
Yeah.
We're in the office. You remember?
They were. You said they were there.
Locker room, yeah.
All right, the most famous person that you've hung out with.
I don't know, define famous.
Most well-known, most recognizable, movie star, rock star.
Well, I mean, I've hung out with Jerry West quite a bit, and I think Jerry's pretty famous.
Yeah, he is pretty famous.
I hung out with Bill Clinton a little bit. I don't know, a lot of people. I've been blessed. I mean, I have been blessed. I've had a great life. People have been so good to me, much more than what I deserve.
All right, this is the last one we got for you.
Before that.
I'm going to tell you real quick one though. You got to hear this Bill Clinton story.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
I'll listen to Bill's.
So we're playing Arkansas. That's when Nolan had it rolling out there, and so we're playing them Sunday afternoon, matinee game, whatever. So I'm going in, and of course the Secret Service is there. They're all over the place. So they go through I had a bag because I was going to go see Reuben Patterson after the game. He was playing a JUCO game, so I was going to fly over see him and then go back to Cincinnati. But anyway, so I go in there throwing my stuff all over the place. I mean, they're throwing my drawers on the floor, and I'm like, wait a minute, man. Are y'all gonna pick all that up? And they're looking at me like, no, man, that ain't. Pick it up. Go on, pick it up. Kind of mean and all that. So I'm thinking, it pissed me off, to be honest with you. So now we go out and, I mean, we beat Arkansas like they stole something. I mean, we just wore them out. And so I'm in a locker room, and a guy comes over, got the presidential stuff on and all that. He said, the president would like to come in and speak to you for a couple minutes. And I said, yeah, sure. So I'm standing there, I'm thinking, what do you talk to the president of the United States about? Well, he comes over, and the first thing out of my mouth was, can I ask you a question? He said, sure, ask me anything, coach. I said, I pay a lot of taxes. I mean, I make pretty good money, but I pay a lot of taxes. In that I pay taxes, don't our taxes go for things like paying the Secret Service? And then he said, well, yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. And I said, well, good. I said, because here's what happened. I come through there, they're grabbing my stuff, they're throwing it out on the floor, they're throwing my drawers on the floor, and if they work for me, why would they be allowed to do something like that? He said, well, that's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that question. So then you go in the media thing, right? Well, you go in there and it's packed. What did you talk to the president about? I said, the Secret Service throwing my drawers on the floor. I mean, just tossing it out on the floor. And he confirmed that they work for me. I pay a lot of taxes. They just work for me. They're supposed to put my shit on the floor. So I say that I'm telling you, I got 10 letters a day if I got one from all these basically older ladies in Arkansas telling me what an ass I was for making fun of the president. I wasn't making fun of the president. I was making fun of the Secret Service.
That's not the people, man.
How about that? So then when he comes into Morgantown, I get to hang out with him a little bit.
Yeah, I got a chance to hang out with him that day too for my graduation. Actually, that was fun. So thank you for shitting on the Secret Service. It got me an opportunity. You probably felt terrible. Let me talk to this kid really quickly.
All right, so last one. This comes courtesy of Jeff Goodman. He wanted me to ask this. He wants to know who the person you're most intimidated by is.
I don't have anybody.
Definitely not Jeff Goodman.
Listen, if Jeff would have grew up where I grew up, he wouldn't be what he is today.
We'll leave it at that. Also, Coach, how do you feel about being this new fashion icon? I mean, geez, bro. I know when you first came in, you had your suit, and then after they got rid of the suit, the jacket, pants. Now everybody's doing it, man. Everybody's doing it.
Well, you know what, Dave? I'm kind of disappointed it took them that long to catch on.
It's about 10 years, man.
Yeah,
10, 11 years.
It took the other coaches a long time to catch on. I think for one, and I think two, it kind of shows some guys are afraid, man.
Yeah.
The story is I was wearing a coat and tie and all that stuff at Cincinnati, and I go in at halftime, man, I'm soaked, just totally soaked. I mean, just dripping off of me. And my AD says to me, he said, you need to go in there and just put a pullover or something on. And so I go in there, I put a pullover on, I'm thinking, hey, this is pretty good. So I've been wore it ever since. But I am dumbfounded that and I think they ought to take my original one, which I have. They had to put that in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I mean, it's the first. You're the first guy to do this. I remember when we were in college, everybody used to try to make a joke out of it. Like, yeah, your coach doesn't even wear suits. I'm like, so this is our basketball. We're playing basketball. This is granted, it is a business, but we're playing basketball.
You've heard of retiring the jersey. We're going to retire the pullover and put it in a frame, put it up in the rafters.
Frame that thing.
I think it's only right.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate the time. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we could catch up. I'm glad that we could get the some dirt on Deshaun. I'm going to make sure that I use that. And again, really appreciate it.
Not a lot of dirt on that guy. Let me tell you, not a lot of dirt on that guy. Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that I still don't believe that he went to the library and got books to read when he was a kid. I'm still having a hard time.
Tons of books with pictures. Tons of picture books. Nah, Coach, thank you for coming on, man. It's obviously anytime you touch anything is gold, so I appreciate it.
Well, you know what, man, I wish you the best with this endeavor, and I mean, you stick to the coaching thing, you're going to be a hell of a coach.
Yep, I will be stealing a lot of your stuff, so no worries. Let's get that out the way now. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? That's something I stole from somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it all borrowed?
I've never had an original idea in my life. That motion stuff we were in came from a guy named Ed McCluskey in Farrell, Pennsylvania. And he taught it to my dad, and my dad I was like his company when he drove, like
it
was good. But that's where I got that from. I mean, I stole the 131 from John Beeline. I used to call timeout and tell him, hey, whether they don't tell them what they're doing wrong. Usually he was telling them by the time they got he was already telling them, and he was already telling them because they were telling him he was wrong, and he was trying to get the last word in.
I'm trying to let them know that I was wrong because they were wrong. We're all wrong as a team. That's the only way you fix things is as a group.
Whatever it was, I had no clue what it was. So.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Coach.
And hopefully we can catch up soon.
Sounds good.